I'm going to make this video here to explain to people numerically the reason why AI is so completely dangerous. If we started with today with a numerical factor of 1 and consider the fact that AI's computing power doubles every 5.5 months, that means that 5.5 months from now, that AI's computing power will double the first time. 11 months from now, that factor will become 4. So in February of next year, AI's computing power will be 4 times greater than it is now. 4 times the capacity, 4 times the memory, 4 times the capability, 4 times the intelligence. In another 5.5 months, that number becomes 8. In another 5.5 months, that number becomes 16. So in a little under 2 years, AI's computing power becomes 16 times greater. In another 5.5 months, that becomes 32. In another 5.5 months, that becomes 64. So in under 3 years' time, AI's computing power becomes 64 times greater. And in another 5.5 months, that number becomes 128. In another 5.5 months, that number becomes 256. In another 5.5 months, that number becomes 512. In another 5.5 months, that number becomes 1028. And in the final 5.5 months leading up to a 5 year span of time, AI's computing power will have increased 2,056 times what it is today. What that means is that when you look outside, when you go online, if there is still such thing as an online, and any interactions that you have with people and the entirety of your life, the way that you experience it, is going to completely and totally change every single solitary aspect of it. Having AI intelligence be 2,056 times greater than what it is right now means that you end up with a supercomputer version of God. And you had best believe that that supercomputer AI intelligence version of God is going to be controlled by demons, or is going to be a fucking demon itself. We're talking about basically the end of Earth and the end of life, at least as we understand it. This is the reason why Stephen Hawking said to leave AI alone before he died. And he knew what he was talking about. Anyway, I wanted to break things down numerically for you so that you understand on a fundamental level where we are at. Yeah, AI intelligence and capacity increases twofold every 5.5 months. And that means that in 5 years' time, AI's computing power and capacity will have increased 2,056 times. Peace, y'all.